How's it going, everybody? Get started in just a moment here. Going to bring in some of the expected moves. All right, what's up, everybody? Good afternoon. It's 12:37, May 28th. We got NVDA reporting after the bell. We're going to look at some of those expected moves. We'll take a quick look at what the market's doing right now. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a sell side. Still no tag of the daily implied moves. Just coming in just slightly here, and we'll see what NVIDIA wants to do. Day's going good so far. Let's take a look. So we're down about 40 basis points in the S&P 500 for right now. Market net flow has been kind of all around. We're seeing a pretty big uptick here in the cumulative net premiums for puts, which is definitely adding to the sell side here in the market. And it's been rather bearish structure all day. And then we saw some strength here, which led to the market kind of going sideways, seeing a little bit of strength, pockets of stuff there. But overall, rather some chop going on. And then we just had some news drop not too long ago. I think Trump said something, and then also we had FOMC minutes, which caused the markets to rumble a little bit here. Overall, our zero date levels that we were watching for the day was 58.80 to the downside, 59.50 to the upside, and we're well within the means of tagging one of those still, even though we only have 20 minutes left. Could potentially happen in the overnight session. I want to pull up the expected moves. We're going to go into the trade tab and make sure that I can get these right. So 333 for AI reporting. It's right at about right here. I'm going to focus pretty much more in on NVIDIA today, but let me remove this one. So we're going to have NVIDIA up here. We're going to have CRM. Remove this. We're going to have ELF, and then I'll just have an NQ chart down over here. All right, so AI is about 333. We still got some time left, but I'm going to just draw these out now. Give us a rough estimate. This is the levels that I'm drawing here on the screen for those that might not know. These are the levels that the market's anticipation as far as a risk. So one standard deviation move. Okay, go to CRM. 20. Jeez, big. All right, looking at about $20 of expectations there. Keeping an eye here. Shoot, maybe a trade might open up for me right here at the end. Let's see. Let me check out the tick chart right now. I haven't really traded too much today other than earlier. We're getting some pretty nice moves now. Okay. Nothing really too worthy right now. A lot of slippage here. A lot of slippage taking place right now in the NASDAQ. See down here? Okay. Go back over to here. So NVIDIA is looking at roughly about a $9.50 expected move. Came down a little bit, so about $9.20. That's just one standard deviation move.
Of note for AI-related names, the journal reports that Elon Musk tried to block OpenAI's big AI deal in the Middle East. It's going to WSJ.
said $9.19. Last minute idea to go live here. Okay, so I got that all set up, right? They're going to move subtly here. If NVIDIA comes off pretty hard right here into the close, then we'll have to kind of adjust slightly. But as it stands right now, we're looking at roughly about a $9.16 expected move. CRM was about a $20 expected move. And then we had AI, which was a $3.30 expected move. And then I believe Elf Beauty, $12.77 of expectations. Also pretty big. $12.70. Beautiful. Elf Beautiful. Activate Drone. Activate. 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 Alrighty. It's going good. What's up? What's up, everybody? Sorry, I was getting I haven't looked at the chat, but what's up, Legacy? Yeah, NVIDIA's after the bell. What's up, Riviera? What's up, Red 5? Meatcake, JTI, Savage. What's up, dude? Sebastian, Oscar, David, Liberated, and everybody out here on Twitch. What's up, Doppler? Yeah, it's been a little minute since I've been able to hop onto a live stream. Got communication service and technology outperforming for the day. Nice, Amir. What's up? And everybody else that I kind of missed here.
And just be aware, more Commerce Department spokespersons on the wires. US is reviewing exports of strategic significance to China and has suspended some export licenses while review takes place. That's according to the US Commerce spokesperson.
Scalping strategy. So the scalping strategy that I use, that I was much more aggressive on, it's better when it's underneath the gamma flip line, when price of the S&P 500 is under there. It still works fine, but the problem is, when you're in positive gamma, you get a lot less of those very extravagant readings from a day-to-day basis. So you have to adjust your strategy, right? So for example, like we had a 1,000 tick reading like once or twice the prior trading session, and it was like really nothing, right? So we had 2 there. Today, at the very end of the trading session, we got under minus 1,000, which created like a little bit of a move. But you get a lot less like extravagant tick readings when you're in a lower volatile environment. So I like to typically, in that case, I like to look at market net flow to get a good idea and sense as to potentially playing into a trend day or kind of adjusting a strategy based off of maybe significant key levels, like various gamma levels, or maybe playing into a gamma level and so forth. So when we're in positive gamma, I tend to focus more on swing trading, less on the day-to-day trades. All right, so let's just look at the S&P 500 really quick. So we are just back within the weekly expected move. Honestly, not all too shocking there. Well within the daily implied move. Also not shocking. And this last year's closing price and upper month to date, I mean, this has been a level of contention. You can see that if you just scroll back, we kind of got through it. It came back. It acted as some sort of a support. Then we broke down. It acted as resistance. We pushed away. And then this news gap up led to a nice gamma squeeze to the upper weekly implied move. And we're kind of just trotting right back down. Right, so to come off and just come back in here, I feel like these type of moves would scare a lot of people. But, I mean, we're well within market expectations right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how NVIDIA reports, if it's something big, if it's a multiple standard deviation move, or it's, like a nothing burger. And the current move right now, like I said, for NVIDIA, which is going to be the dominant force here, $9.22 of expectations. It's kind of coming off here into the close. And we have the just the cumulative net premiums of puts just absolutely cranking over here. What do they know? What do they know? See if anything changed from a 0-day perspective. 59.20. So yeah, right here is kind of like the call wall, the pin for the market. I'll just clone this out. These were there earlier, but that's no longer the thing. Actually, I'll just change it. 59.20. Oh, whoops. Settings. Oh. Can remove these. Also, we've been just kind of at the upper bounds of this JPM collar here since the 12th. Kind of just doodling around. Yeah, David, I don't know if the end-of-day selling is any sort of insight. I will say that the market net flow here is kind of interesting, how we're just seeing this kind of crank up. Could be just hedging activity taking place. Could be something else, right? I mean, we could speculate with narratives and stuff, but ultimately, I just want to see what the market's pricing in as far as a risk, and that's about $9.30 of expectations for NVDA, about $20 for CRM, about $3.30 for AI. And then Elf Beauty was like $12, which is obviously not one of the bigger ones that most people will probably not pay too much attention to, but somebody always knows, but that ain't me. Thank you for the tight list with PCT on it. Oh, nice. Yeah. Did you play PCT? We'll take a look at some of those names if you want. PCT. I have, I'll have a whole host of names that are on. Yeah, PCT. I don't know if this was on the tight list or not, or when it was. It was definitely probably on there down here and maybe over here. I can't remember. But that was a nice break. I still have a position in it. It's not like of size, but nice volume here too. Little pockets of strong volume. I will say I was watching gold earlier and I was listening to some people talk about it and how they're super bullish it. And I'm like, it's one, I hate seeing these three peaks. I hate this. Like from an intraday time frame, if you've been watching live streams like intraday and I show this and I'm like, anytime I see this stuff, like I absolutely hate it where you see these big, strong, like lower highs after a run up. And it's happening on the daily time frame. And I know a lot of people are like, well, it's consolidating, right? It's a bull flag. Okay, maybe, right? And it's in bullish context. I'd also say, yeah, you could be right there for sure. But I'm also paying attention to all this volume here, the pockets of all this red volume, and then the moves down. It just feels and smells like distribution to me. So as people are bulling up on gold, I'm like, oh gosh, hopefully they're right. I haven't traded gold from the long side. I traded it from the short side for like a few days, like over here. Surprisingly, that was like my only trade in gold. And I didn't hold it like down to here or anything. I held it for like a day or two. Nothing crazy. I'd have to look at that, how I shorted it too. I think I used a product called like GLL. I think that was it. GLL? Yeah, that was it. GLL. Yeah. I'd have to look at when the execution was. But that's basically the only gold stuff that I did this year. Or it's just building out a larger base, you know? That's a possibility too.
After the end of the cash equity trading session.
Yeah, NQ's coming off pretty hard right here. Take a look. NQ's coming off.
We'll be looking for numbers from CRM, Salesforce on the bell.
And we got final 10 minutes. That's
which are already getting hit on that
MOC. Yeah, here we go.
A bit earlier today. They're due to report about 5 minutes after the bell. And 20 past, we are expecting numbers from NVDA, NVIDIA.
There's that ring.
For that, we are about to repost.
Haven't heard that for a minute.
For the other earnings expectations, they can be accessed in the research suite of the News Corp website.
So there was a alert here for kind of an extended tick reading. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce here on NQ. So from that low, it bounces up a little bit. But this is in the final 10 minutes, right? I don't really like using it in the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes, but you can. It's just you get a lot more volume, a lot more wonkiness in the final 15 minutes. Obviously, the first 15 minutes of the trading session. So You kind of got to just do what works best
Just a
for
quick
you.
look at the imbalance. According to sources, that's around about 700 million on the sell side, 700 million to sell.
Yeah, NVIDIA releases earnings a little bit late. Yeah, I don't know if I'll even. We'll see. We'll see if I can stick around till then. I'm still watching my son, but he's taking a nap, so I figured I'd just hop on live. But we do have CRM here. We have AI over here too, so we'll see. The tick reading, you can just do a quick Google search, David, on ticks, and what they're representing is just buyers and sellers. But sometimes when it's too extended on either direction, it means that everyone's kind of on that one side of the boat and it's about to capsize, about to turn over. So you can typically take the inverse of what the market's doing, depending on how it sets up, and you can find quick scalps, quick fade trades, doing so. See here, 590, some overhead at 590. That's kind of up there. That's like way up here. So I don't know. This is just interesting kind of sell side. I think it's just order flow. Is all we're seeing is just some order flow here from this large move here and accumulating net premiums for puts. Let it do its thing, I guess. Got the baby monitor on the train desk. Yeah. Coming off. What's up with URA? I haven't checked it out yet, but a lot of uranium stocks, they had a big bid, so I don't know what they're doing now, but yeah, uranium stocks had a big bid off some news. And nuclear names, right? Saw a big move, NNE. Right, that was a big move. Now it's coming in a little bit, consolidating. Could be one to watch for a new consolidation. Same with Oklo. All right, there's a tick reading here. That's just like in the final 6 minutes, though. Let's go back over to the tick chart. The sellers are stepping in. Look at this thing. This thing is just basically straight up. Still no tag of the daily implied move, but man, stone's throw away from it on the S&P 500. So the tick came down to minus 1,000. Boom, we saw a nice little pop. I'll show you what that kind of looks like here if I were to show you like the smaller time frames, which is typically what I'll trade here. Smaller time frames, if that's actually like the case. So came down, got that reading, and then boom, we shoot up 49, 50, 60, 70 points. Quick little scalps here and there. But I typically will trade, I'll typically trade those throughout the day if they actually get there. But it's better when it's in negative gamma. You'll get much more readings and much more frequency with it versus in positive gamma. Now we're pulling into the JPM caller, and once again, we're still not far from this daily implied move here. We got about 5 minutes to the market closes. I'll give some thoughts too once the market closes, because I think it's going to be a minute here before we can get some official What are you doing here? There we go. Okay. Sorry. Give me a second here. Before we get the official earnings is what I was trying to say. My bad. I think these are going to be accurate enough for the expected move. So for NVIDIA, we're looking roughly at about 145 to the upside, 125 and some change to the downside. That would be the market's expectation. So we got NVIDIA over here. This is CRM. I'm going to just keep those where they're at. They're looking at about $20 expectations. AI is looking at about $3 of expectations. This one is off a little bit here, though. I can fix this. Okay. So I don't know if you trade those tick charts. This was that reading over here at about 1254.
Just a bit more for the banks code watchers. The deputy governor
1254 was right
the
here.
increase in core
right?
inflation is very
And
worrying.
it led to a nice little bounce. You know, nothing crazy, but we got that. We got a bounce, and that was in confluence with some of the other stuff. Right? We were coming near the daily implied move. We were near the JPM collar, which, you know, has its weight. This is not the updated JPM collar, by the way. This is the original order that was placed, but I kept it here. They did some adjustment. It was a mess of what they did, a big mess when they applied their collar. But I left the original levels here because when those things kick in, typically you get a lot of other order flow that goes into play. So I figured, I'm just going to keep this in here because a lot of algos will hit the tape and so forth based off the original order. And so far, I guess that's kind of the right idea. But what they changed it to was minuscule, right? It was like we're talking 20 points difference or something like that. It wasn't anything crazy. All right. Mike. NVIDIA, I don't know the exact time here, but the earnings call looks at like in an hour past. I mean, hopefully we get the earnings sooner than that. I'm probably not going to stick around for the call. I wanted to give everyone the expectations of the market and what they're pricing in. That was my ultimate goal here. Give them some key levels. So hopefully this kind of helps in the meantime.
1 minute to the cash flows.
Hey, what's up, Barkster?
We are expecting CRM numbers around the close. EPS expected at 254 on revenues of 9.7 billion.
We can do SNPS. SNPS that's reporting earnings, right? Or no? Geez, this thing took a little crank down. What is that? Is that SNPS reporting earnings or no? Or am I getting confused with like something else? No, SNPS is reporting earnings. So SNPS. I really don't like how these options. I like weekly options, but $56 of expectations, I guess, is what I'd kind of go with because that's the nearest date to expiration. So $56, we're looking at roughly. Geez, that thing moved already. It literally moved $56 today. Gee,
Just over TSLA, Tesla is said to target a robo-taxi launch in Austin, 12th of June.
That's wild.
Tesla conducted first deliveries test on public roads this week, according to Bloomberg.
All right, there we go. Here's the close. Now we'll see what kind of stuff reports earnings here when we get the reports. See if we get multiple standard deviation moves or if it all stays within kind of the ranges. I do find it interesting that, look at NQ dropping right now. Whoa. I wonder what's dragging that down. Look at this. NQ's coming off. Let me pull this chart back up. Am I missing one of the earnings here or something? Like 50 points here in a minute or two. All right. What do they know? What is going on here? Hope you all had a good trading day today. I did all right. Had a few executions there. CRM doesn't look like it reported yet, but CRM's right over here. We're looking at roughly a $20 of expectations of risk. That'll bring us up to and around 295, 300, down to and around 255. What's moving in the after hours right now? Was there news or something that I'm completely missing out on here? They're just kind of just probably adjusting, I guess, trades or something. And Q just kind of slipping off. Yeah. That was a big run up there in the cumulative net premiums of puts there into the close. Either they know something or they're preparing for something. But that was a pretty big move there, and that kind of led to our sell side here. Well within market expectations. Like I said, we didn't even tag the daily implied move today, so that's pretty rare. Usually we tag it, but sometimes we don't. And we're well within the weekly expected move too here, so we're going to keep on continuing to watch. It looks like CRM is about to report, or is reporting right now. Here's the move on CRM.
CRM, Salesforce revenue, adjusted EPS rather comes in. We're just getting the outlook at the moment, not seeing the figures, so we'll go through the guidance. Q2 revenue seen between 10.11 and 10.16 billion. For the FY, they see revenue between 41 and 41.3. That annual figure would be above street estimates there.
CRM moving towards its upper implied move. Looks good right now. That means we can crank up to about 300 here. If we keep on pressing up, 295, 300 would be up in the upper bounds of one standard deviation.
In terms of their figures, Q1 adjusted EPS comes in at 258. That is a beat for the revenue figure, 9.8 billion. 9.8 billion. That is against the street's view of 9.7. So that would be.
I'll call that an implied move tag if we don't get up there to the exact level. But
guides for the annual figure above.
That was a good move.
Estimates.
Let's look at the daily chart of it. Let's see what it looks like from a daily perspective. So, these are going to bring in some nice volatility come tomorrow. Let me see
just
here.
Drilling down into the results, CRM's Q1 services revenue at 2.3 billion. Unless we're looking for 2.35, it comes in at 2.33, so ever so slightly short there. Still Salesforce up some 4.7% in extended trading following their results and the outlooks. The top and bottom line beats and guiding for the FY revenues above street expectations.
Hey, Sadesh, thank you for subscribing to the channel. So CRM came to its upper implied move.
Salesforce says with the USD weakening in Q1, it now expects a currency tailwind for the business year in FY 2026.
It's going to put us right over here to about the year-to-date volume-weighted average price. So I'm going to tell you what I'll be looking for come tomorrow on CRM. If we can hold this and we start to crank higher, ultimately I look for a bullish move, right? A bullish candlestick. That's what I call a power, well, I don't just call it, everyone calls it a powerful earnings gap or a power earnings gap, a PEG, right? Boom, you get a nice move, and then you typically get follow through, but what I like to wait for is some sort of a consolidation and then play the follow through of that, however that might look. So that looks pretty darn good there. I'll show you examples of some of that stuff. I mean, we saw all kinds of stuff happen like that. Toast, for example, right? TOST, saw a big, powerful earnings move, bam, and then now it's consolidating. Q2, which I have a position in, right? Powerful earnings gap, boom, follow through. Now we're kind of consolidating. So I look to enter after the consolidation and hope that obviously it breaks up higher. But if it breaks down, well, then I know where to get out at. So that's what I look for moving forward on these type of names. AI, just getting some movement here right now in the aftermarket. Let's see if it's reporting earnings. Elf Beauty is down. A couple percent here in the after hours. And NQ is trading around 33.50. Okay.
And numbers crossing from SMPS. Synopsis EPS at $2.24.
Elf just reported too.
Street was looking for 340, so I'll keep an eye out for an adjusted metric. Here we go, adjusted 367 above the expected 340. And revenue comes in at 1.604 billion, slightly above the expected 1.599. So top and bottom line beats for SMPS, which of course is getting hit in just towards the end of cash trading on that export control headline from the FT.
Okay, there's an export control headline apparently. That's what dragged it down almost 10%. That's incredible. Elf Beauty did tag its lower implied move for the earnings.
Of the guide, Synopsis sees Q2 revenue between 1.76 and 1.79 billion. Street was looking for 177, so that's inline guidance for Q3 revs. Adjusted EPS for Q3 seen at 382. to 387. Street was looking for 396, so that guidance for profits next quarter below expectations. And just a quick look at the FY stats as well. Still sees full year revenue coming in between 6.75 to 6.81 billion, and FY EPS seen between 15.11 to 15.19. That appears to be lifted from its prior view of 14.88 to 14.96.
What do I think that is going to be the play for NVIDIA? Honestly, I really don't know. My hope is that it goes higher. I mean, the only reason is because it has pull on the market, right? So if it goes up, chances are some of my other positions that might be somewhat correlated to go up. But if it goes down, it's like I don't really have direct semiconductor exposure. Like I don't think I really do. I'd have to check to verify. But if I do, it's a small portion. But maybe some could be related to AI. So there's could be a bunch of different things that could be said. But I don't have direct exposure to like NVIDIA or something that's like a very strong correlation. But needless to say, if I have exposure in the market, which I do, I shared my entire portfolio or one of my main portfolios, trading portfolios, yesterday in all the positions. So NVIDIA, right, if it goes down, maybe it brings down some of those names with it, which is fine because they're all well managed, well controlled, proper position sizing. It's totally fine. AI is catching quite the bid here in the aftermarket. Nice stuff. This one was actually on my radar and on my tight list. AI, I don't know if it reported already or if it's just catching a bid, but AI was seeing just this nice kind of like bottoming pattern and kind of seeing these consolidations. And I think this is what kind of brought it to my tight list. Now that we had earnings, right, it could be back on the radar for a potential another play here if it ends up being good. But right now we just came into its upper implied move, so we'll see if that can actually hold, right? So far that's a good sign here. CRM's doing good. How do you join the Discord? So Discord is just one of the benefits that I have that's in the Patreon. So I don't do any like billing and stuff like that. It's all handled through Patreon. So if you go to my Patreon page, you sign up at Patreon and then you sync your Discord to the Patreon and then you're automatically assigned a role into my Discord server that has all the benefits there. And then like, if you stop paying or if you whatever, just don't want it anymore, you just stop paying Patreon and then you'll automatically be, removed from the Discord when your time is up or whatever. AI is trading at about 26.50 now. Not a bad sign for some AI names. That's good. It's a big move here. It's up about 16%. Ah, yeah. I don't have the specific time for NVIDIA. I'd have to kind of like Google around and look for that. Maybe find it on Twitter, or on X. But I do have the levels. 145 to the upside, 126 to the down. Hoping to see it play out, but we'll see how long my son decides to sleep for. I put him down for a nap and I was like, oh, I got him down. Maybe I'll just do a live stream because I don't know if I'll be able to pull out a full movie today.
Just on the US fiscal front, the OMB head says the White House will be sending recession package to Congress next week.
So AI, bam, came in. Do you see why these expected moves can be so important? It gives you such a good idea of what the market's pricing in for risk, right? It doesn't mean that the market has to be right, but if you think in terms of probabilities, right, it's typical standard deviation, their distribution curve, right? 68% of the time it will come into it and or close within it. And, it could go higher tomorrow, but that's one standard deviation. Came right up to it. Look at AI. This came right to it. It doesn't mean, like I said, it can't break higher or even come back in, right? But it is quite impressive. And the reason why I like it so much is if you were thinking about taking the trade, if you're like, hey, I'm really bullish CRM, and you maybe were thinking about establishing a position going into earnings, which is...
So it's about 10 minutes now. We'll get these numbers from NVDA.
It could be very crazy.
The consensus looks for EPS to come in at 92 cents on revenue of 43.1 billion. Again, for those who want a bit more of an in-depth look at what to expect, we have got our primer on the newsfeed.
So
in terms of other metrics, data center revenues expected at 39 billion, gaming at 2.8, and autos at 0.6. Again, all details in our preview towards the top of the News Court newsfeed.
So what I was saying was, like, if you have a position, so for example, if you have a position CRM and it says, hey, the market expects plus or minus $20, is your current position, are you willing to risk $20 per share? And that would be obviously up to you. So you'd have to decide that. But that's what the market anticipated. So then you can either sell some, adjust stops, do whatever, get out of it, whatever the case may be, plus or minus 20 bucks. Or if you were like, I'm going to take a gamble, a binary trade or whatever, and you say, I have XY edge, thinking that it's going to go higher, how high can it go? How low can it go? Well, it's plus or minus $20, right? Plus or minus 20 bucks. So you can say, basically, go from one standard deviation of this or to two standard deviations. And am I willing to lose $20 to $40 per share on the trade? And if so, then you can adjust your entry based off of that. AI is coming back down to basically break even or potentially even lower, but it came to the upper implied move. Now it's backing off. Elf Beauty is breaking through its lower implied move. The once beloved name, Elf Beauty. The audio keeps clipping. I may need to adjust setting there. You can let me know now. I think it was hitting the yellow or the red and started clipping. So just keep me posted if it's doing it still. Audio's good. Okay. My audio is fine. Yeah. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm not getting any bad readings over here. Just keep me posted. Sometimes if I talk too loud, it'll clip it, like clip a piece out of it. No. Dun, 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 dun. I was on a Spaces call today on X. If any of you joined, awesome. I didn't really talk too much. I thought that I was going to be just talking myself, but I didn't realize it was a group of people, which was kind of cool actually. Got to talk with David Keller with stock charts, somebody else from Trader TV Live, and then another trader that has a YouTube channel. I believe her name is Julie, or I can't remember. I do remember because I know exactly, like I follow her. Let me see if I can find her now. Yeah, Julia. Yeah, I was right. Okay, Julia Cordova. I explained a few things, but I was prepared to talk about a little bit more, and we can always talk about that here. There's AI. AI is breaking through its implied move. Look at this thing go. Let's go, AI. Let's go. It's the best. Fix the audio by closing it, coming back. Good stuff, good stuff. I do kind of want to make a video too separately about this, but talking about kind of why most traders lose, right? And how to avoid that. I feel like we focus on a lot on kind of in this industry, how traders, how we can win, but the losing aspect of it is pretty critical. And I think it comes down to a couple pillars. So we can talk about that until NVIDIA earnings, until my son wakes up. I can talk about how to structure trades, what I do, around that. I was thinking I should make a separate video of kind of more of just talking to the camera sort of ordeal. I do a lot of stock market briefs and give insights, and I don't really make any predictions, as most people know, but I kind of lay out potential paths, and I look at market conditions, and market conditions ultimately tell me the style of trade that I'm going to be doing, right? Data's out in 5 minutes. Okay. Or some data. I'm pretty sure I know how to lose. All right, that was pretty witty, but I feel like you know what I mean when I say that. There's a great book by Tom Hugard. It's losing. The title's losing my mind. I lost the name of the title, but it's all about losing. Yeah, am I still clip? Yeah, I'm. I gotta turn my audio down here. Give me a second. I get excited and then it clips. Damn mic. There we go. Now it shouldn't clip. I can talk louder. There we go. Best loser wins. Thanks, Savage. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the one. Great book. I listened to it audio. Better loser wins. Best loser wins. Yeah, one of those. Tom Hugard. One of those. I like to listen to the audio, especially if it's the author talking, because you kind of feel a passion in their voice, you know? And I've listened to that multiple times. And it just gets your head focused in the right thing. Now we trade completely different, but the kind of the message in it is incredibly important, and the thing that people should focus on while trading is becoming the best loser that they can be, right? It's really the only thing that we can control ultimately, right? Is the risk, what we manage, what we put on as far as risk, holding a trade too long when we shouldn't, adding to a loser when we shouldn't. I mean,
Just on the
I know plenty of people that add to
Libya's
losing trades
Eastern-based
that do
government
just
may
fine.
announce force majeure on oil fields and
But
ports, citing repeated assaults on national oil company. That's according to a statement.
but if you're adding to a loser with the hopes to get break even, that's a whole different thing. If you only read one book, that's the one. I'd be up there with that kind of book. I would say if you read one book on market psychology, I feel like that would probably be the one. There's a couple other really good ones, right? Obviously, by Mark Douglas, has The Disciplined Trader, and then he has I am losing my mind today. I remember all the book names, and I'm having a hard time remembering now. Mark Douglas wrote Disciplined Trader, which is not one of the more popular ones. The other one that he wrote is like everyone talks about. Well, oh my gosh, help me out here. Gee, mini Christmas. What's his book? Oh my gosh, this bugs me, man. I am not sharp right now. Market Wizards is great too. Thank you, Payroll. Trading in the Zone. Yes, thank you, Savage. Trading in the Zone. So both good. The reason why I like Tom Hugard's is because Tom Hugard is a high stakes trader. So he's speaking from like his experience of being a really high stakes trader. I don't know, and I don't think Mark Douglas is a high stakes trader, but I think he's a psychologist, or I could be wrong. I think he does a little bit of both. But Tom Hugard is trading at, or has traded at, may still be, I don't really know, at that kind of higher elite level that really presses.
1 minute now before we get these numbers from NVIDIA.
Psychological
EPS
aspect of
expected
things.
at 92 cents. Revenue expected at 43.1 billion.
Yeah, some of the best books have nothing to do with trading. I would agree with that too. That's so true. Still waiting on NVIDIA. It's up a little bit here in the aftermarket, but doesn't mean anything because we're expected about $9.50. Mark Douglas passed away, unfortunately. Oh, that is sad. Was that a while ago? Was this recently? I didn't hear about it. I feel like I would have heard. Same with William O'Neill. William O'Neill passed, and he is somebody that I love his work too, and that was pretty recent. He was a commodities trader. Okay, that's cool to know. No, I'm waiting on NVIDIA. Thanks, Major Woot.
NVIDIA numbers just crossing here, 44.1 billion for revenue. That's above expected. All right, here we go. There.
NVIDIA.
Adjusted EPS for Q1 comes in at 81 cents. So that's 81 cents profit miss there for NVIDIA in Q1, but revenue did come in above expectations there. It says it does incur a $4.5 billion charge due to the inventory issues, and that was taken in Q1, of course. NVIDIA was unable to ship additional 2.5 billion worth of H20 revenue in Q1, it announces. So it's taken a 4.5 billion charge in Q1 due to the H20 inventories, and it was unable to ship $2.5 billion worth of H20 chips revenue in Q1. NVIDIA says that as AI agents become mainstream, demand for AI computing will accelerate. Just in terms of under the bonnet there, their gaming revenue comes in at 3.8 billion. Their data center revenue at 39.1 billion, 39.1 for data center, very much in line with what the street was looking for in the data center.
Okay.
And just in terms of guidance, they see Q2 revenues at 45 billion. Street was looking for 46.1, so it's guiding revenues for next quarter slightly below expectations there. And a quick look at NVDA and after hours trade up some 2.2% on a profit beat in the quarter.
Market likes what it sees so far. So from what I'm understanding here, revenue 44 billion. It's a pretty big year over year versus the estimate 43.29. Data center revenue up. Automotive revenue
And just going back to some of their commentary as well, they note that the Blackwell NVL72 AI supercomputer is now in full-scale production across system makers and
gross
cloud
margin
service
61
providers.
versus 78. Estimated was 71. So far, so good. So far, so good. Market likes what it sees. It's not really that big of a reaction so far, to be quite frank. We're up 3% in the after hours. This is a typical day for NVIDIA right now. But NQ down here is responding quite nicely, down from 325, up over 100 points here in a short period of time. CRM settling in a little bit after reaching its upper expected move. AI is trading in and around its upper expected move, and NVIDIA still has $5 of expectations here to the upside.
And folks, a usual reminder at the bottom of the hour, the subscribers of the API data will get to see that weekly inventory report. Just in terms of expectations for crude stocks this week, energy stocks this week, the street looks for crude stocks to build 0.1 million, so 100,000. Distillate seen building 500,000. Gasoline seen drawing by 500,000.
Oops. King Leo, if I had $100, what would I do? Like if I only had $100? Like for trading? Like designated for trading? Or just like if I only had $100?
Energy news, El Paso Nat Gas Company has declared force majeure at Dimmitt compressor station units 1 and 3, which are in Lamb County in Texas.
So if I only had $100 that I can use for trading, like honestly, I wouldn't try to like double it or triple it fast, because the likelihood of losing it would be almost instant. But if you kind of want to learn the ropes of trading, I would say come up with some sort of a process that allows you to, one, take the $100 and put it into a micro account. Because you're not gonna do anything crazy with $100 unless if you risk over and over and over again to turn it to anything worthwhile, right? You can 1000x that, and what's that bring you, right? You can 10x it. What what's that? What's it gonna bring you? Would that be life changing? I don't know. But if you want to, learn the kind of ropes of swing trading and risk management and eventually build into a bigger account, you can put that into like a I don't know, like an M1 Finance account, or like a Fidelity
just
account,
going back to these
something that has micro
earnings,
shares that you can
from
or
Bloomberg
fractional
just noting
buying.
that its Q2 forecast reflects $8 billion in lost sales to China.
If you can do fractional buying, what that'll allow you to do,
And,
you can treat $100.
NVIDIA currently up around about 3.1% after hours. It is supporting indexes a little bit.
you can treat $100 as if it was $100,000, right? With fractional shares. So for example, like if your max like position size is 6%, so you'd find a stock that you want to buy and you would only do risk 6% of your $100, which is what it would be basically your full size position would be $6 in a specific name. And then it'll allow you to kind of learn the ropes in managing risk. And dude, if you can successfully trade $100 for multiple months and manage risk properly, you can do it with a lot more money too. But a lot of people want to just go for the quick win, double it up, triple it up. Unfortunately, that equals more risk, and more risk can equal more reward. And the unfortunate thing about it is if you get lucky, right out of the gate, if all you're doing is $100 and like I turned into $1,000 over, the course of a whatever. The problem with it is you're going to try to do it again because you're going to believe that you can. And then eventually that catches up and you catch one bad trade that you risked it all and then it goes away. Another thing that you can do is if you're like more into day trading and like shorter term trades, you can look into prop firms and use the $100 to buy, buy like I don't know, there's probably an account that's a prop firm that you can pay $50, get a $50,000 account, and you have to follow and abide by their rules and what you can trade, but it'll give you the opportunity to potentially turn that prop firm account into more money. So for example, like I have a prop firm now, or I trade prop firm stuff when I trade day trade, and I traded, one of them, it cost, I went in the largest accounts,
so just want to
and I went straight to funding, so it costs more, but
NVDA Q1 adjusted EPS 96 cents adjusted, which would be above expected there. So I'm not entirely sure which one we read out at the time, but just want to clarify, Q1 adjusted EPS 96, and that is above the expected.
What is a macro account? Maybe I misspoke. I meant like an account that allows for fractional shares. But a prop firm account allowed me to like trade in the futures market. Basically, it's a sim account, so it's not even real live trading, but it is the ability to earn real money. So this thing cost me a total of $2,500 at one of the prop firms, but that bought me 5 150K accounts. Okay, meaning that I can trade with 150 leverage, basically. So I bought $2,500, 550 accounts. I'll just show you the accounts. Here, let me just show you. I have it here. So it's not going to show correctly because I withdrew, but I'll give you the update on that. So here's the account. Okay, so I have 5 accounts. These are straight to funding. I pay $2,500, but you don't need to go straight to funding. You can buy the smaller ones. And I've traded now on these accounts. How many days did I trade this stuff? I've traded this 3 days for the new payout, but I've been trading this payout requests. Let me see here. Yeah, like these are the verifications that I was actually paid. So here's the 5 accounts, and I withdrew 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. These were the dates that I requested it, but I traded these for 40 plus days, and this is just the payout status that I got paid. So $2,500, right? And I did a slow roll here of slowly building it up, but then $2,500 turned into 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,000 in 40 days. That's a pretty good investment, right? The problem here is a lot of people fail these because they go too hard, too fast, or whatever. I went painstakingly slow. Oh my gosh, it was painstakingly slow. So now the next goal here is I have to trade for 10 more days with a 20% consistency, and I have to make $4,500. So what does that look like actually? I'll just bring up one of the accounts because they're all the same account basically. I trade them all at the same time. Let me see. Let me load this up. Yeah, sometimes my mic breaks. Got to deal with it. Or I talk too loud and it clips. See ya, sucker. I'll fix it probably on the next stream or see what's going on. Some people said they restarted YouTube and it worked fine. All right, so this is what it looks like. All right, so I'm gonna open. I opened up one of those accounts. I'm gonna first look at NVDA. So NVIDIA's still holding strong here. CRM backed off quite a bit, but still holding up. Okay, so one of those accounts, you can see total profit. What'd I do? Total profit is up 10,000. I did extract 3,000 from it already. Trading days, I totally traded 44. So now I'm working on my next payout. So between my next payout, I have to trade. Today was my 4th trading day. So this will uptick to 4 when this loads. My consistency rate will drop down a little bit. The goal is to get to 20%, right? So it'll drop down a little bit. My highest day so far was 9,000. And the goal is to get to 4,500, which I have to actually get to about 5,000 because this day was kind of high to keep within the consistency rules. And if I can do that, right, the first payout I had to get to 9,500 and it took me forever. It took me 40 days. Worth it, I guess, for some. For me, it felt like it wasn't, just because how much energy I put into it. So now, in the next 10 days, I got to get to 4,500. I'm at 1920 right now. I'm probably just over 2,000 now because today I traded, right? Paid a few $100 for each account. This will go to 4. So once I get to 10, and if I can get this down to 20, and if I can get to 4,500, I can extract another $3,000 per account. If I can do it, right? I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. The hope is that I can do it. But even if I don't, I got my money. I got my $2,500 that I invested back, right? And some, right? It turned into 15, which they didn't pay me the full 15 because they take out 90% or 10%. So I got paid 13,500 from them. Okay. Did they increase the profit goal after payout? No. So the first payout was I had to get to 9,500 and follow their rules, the consistency rule, right, and the other stuff or whatever. That's what I first had to do. And now to get to the second payout, I don't need to get to 9,500 or 9,000. I can go to 4,500, and then I could take out 3,000. So, yeah, that's Tradeify. I find them to be fair with their rules. I like them, and they have a good journal, right? They have a pretty cool journal that like keeps track of your trades and stuff. Like here's the screenshot of this last week and this week. All right, this is last week. This is this week. I'm trading 5 accounts, so you got to divide the number of trades by 5, typically to get the more accurate idea of how many executions I made. And sometimes if you scale out of a position, I think it counts as a trade. So if I like took, 10 MNQs, right? Oh, that's 2 per account, 2 per 5. And I scale out 1, that's a trade for all 5 trades. So that's 5 trades. And then another one, it's another 2. I believe that's how it works. Yeah, NVIDIA's kind of coiling up here on the 5-minute. Still got them to do the conference call, and we still have yet to tack an implied move. I would imagine that after the earnings, we can either come up to the upper and or the lower still. I don't know what they're going to say. But by tomorrow, I'll be keying in on their expectations of 145, maybe even a little bit more, who knows. And then down here, those would be the key levels that I'd be watching for. AI is holding up strong, flagging out. That's holding at its earnings expected move there. And NQ saw a little bit of a bounce back. So earnings are out so far, no call yet, but the market's holding up fine. This is not necessarily a bearish situation. So ultimately it depends on what the call happens and what the market digests after. And we got to keep an eye here on where the market's at within its expected moves for the week, and we're underneath it. But it's very common that when you come up and tag it for the week, which we did today, you can come right back up into it and doodle around. Now going into tomorrow's trading session, I'm going to be posting those in the exact levels in the Discord, but currently we're looking at about a $5.80 expected move for SPY. Okay. So we closed here, about 587-ish. So we'll be looking at about $5.80 to the upside, 580 to the downside for a rough estimate of tomorrow's daily expected move. You went all in shorting NVIDIA? Man. Well, you never know. I don't know if it'll go up or down, but I don't typically ever put myself in a position. Actually, I think I posted that on X today, right? Yeah, I did. I never put myself in a position where a single trade could make or break me. There's really no point. I plan on doing this for a long time, not for like a quick little hit, you know? Now, if it's like a single account with only like a few $1,000s in it, it's like a small account. Yeah, maybe like I'll go heavy there. But even if I were to blow up a small account, which I haven't done a small account here for a minute, but if I were to do that and it were to blow up, it's like still that would not be in a position to make or break my career of trading by losing a small account. But I hope you understand my point there. I'm not going to risk a large portion of my net worth and my livelihood on any given trade that can actually affect me. Just can't do it. All right, y'all, I'm going to take off. NVIDIA's popping here. Like I said, 145 would be ideal to the upside, 145, even 150 maybe tomorrow if the market really likes what it sees. CRM's coming back pretty hard here, but we'll see how that plays out. And then AI is holding up strong. Elf Beauty came right into its lower implied move, and NQ right here is holding up decently well. So it's a good thing that we watch these implied moves because, well, the market goes through periods of inefficiency and efficiency, and right now it's acting pretty efficient, at least for these names. Mahalo. Hope today's episode helped out. Sorry about the audio cuts. Try to figure that out next time. It happens. It is what it is. All right, everybody. Toodaloo. See you guys.